I'd like to first introduce you to Paula, Paula Tiberius, who is Merike's daughter, and she will be introducing her mother. Take it away, Paula.
I will, and I'm muted on the other side of the room, so it doesn't have crazy feedback. Did you mute us? No.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Okay, so yes, I have the honor of introducing my mom, Merike Lugus, who is an internationally acclaimed artist, as many of you know, who has shown all over the world, including Canada, the US, Estonia, and Austria, in Vienna. And then at the end of the 80s, around 90, she moved to the country and left painting for sculpture for about 10 years because she had more room to expand in the country. And now she's back to painting with a truly spectacular new technique, which some of you have been exploring already, which is what this talk is about, the show that's on currently. And I do urge everyone to go and see it in person because as great as this presentation is, the paintings in person really shine and pop in a way that is quite moving in person. So that's all I've got to say. And here's my mom, Merike Lugus.
Okay, thank you. I am so grateful that that Paula is here. I'm not sure I could have navigated all this. I'm also grateful to the Women's Art Association, to the way they nurture artists. It really is a wonderful opportunity. I've prepared a short artist bio, so I will just read it because that's the easiest. As Paula said, I moved to the country, I did sculpture, and then it was about 8 years ago that my husband died, and well, things happen. That's when change has started to happen. So my bio, my artist talk, after my husband's death, I discarded everything I knew about painting and began a path of discovery, from figurative to abstract, from oils to the shiny new acrylic options. Inspiration came from my then 5-year-old granddaughter, who was fearless in her approach, so sure of her first bold strokes. So I began with the classic approach, marks on the canvas, and just basically fooling around with brilliant pools of paint at random. I let go of the old constraints of structure and meaning. I needed to play. Soon I found my rhythm. I discovered, along the way, I discovered that paint is a skin that can be manipulated, cut or carved into. At times it created jewel-like effects, and I could indulge my childhood attraction to shiny objects. As it happens, this embrace of memory and childhood stories and archetypes matches my own restless spirit, and I follow any direction as the process itself opens up. So now,
I don't know why it's not letting me. Oh, there.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. So I think I'm finished with that part.
I guess so. Oh, good.
Oh, okay. This is just a strange painting to start with because it has nothing to do with what I'm doing now. However, it was the point at which I realized I was absolutely stuck. I was painting in oils, and I realized that this painting, I had been working on it for, would you believe, months. I would just come to it like what am I going to do? And I just would repaint and repaint and repaint, and until I finally realized I was stuck, and it was time to get unstuck. Fortunately, my granddaughter Violet visited me for a while, and I watched her approach to art. It was just very free and liberating. That's obviously her at sleep. So this is the kind of work she did without even thinking. She would just slap things on, and I found it very intriguing. Uh, so then the main thing is she helped to free up the way that I was thinking, and then I had to start figuring out what I myself wanted to do. And I myself I was just really, I don't know, goofing around would be the word. As in this one, and in this one, which never was finished, I just wanted to feel free, and this one as well. And this is a painting I did that was totally based on one of Violet's drawings. I mean, I obviously added a lot of color and size to it. And this painting, which I call Talking Heads, is getting a little more sophisticated, but it is actually based on one of Violet's drawings. And I wish I was able to preserve it, but well, I moved and things happened. So I don't have a record of that. And then this is a leap. I was becoming more comfortable, not just, well, the colors, but how to achieve the colors. It's a question of mixing a lot of medium in with the pigment. And if you saw this in person, you would see it has a translucency to it because of that, because of the amount of medium that's in it. Anyway, I found this kind of brilliance pretty exciting. Now the what can I say? The method that I used, I wanted to shy away from meaning, and I took a piece of paper, a square piece of paper, in fact, many pieces of square paper. I kind of scrunched them and then spread them out to see what kind of forms would happen. Anyway, this one I was very pleased with. You can see in the middle how paper crunches. It's much finer there, and of course it spreads out. It happened to look like a rose, and so I made the most of that. This one is called Trunk, and it's a similar kind of process, except in this case, I folded the paper lengthwise. As you can see, there are four divisions in the painting. And then I scrunched it and spread it out and picked out the shapes that were pleasing to me. What these pictures don't show is the struggle in getting the right color combinations, and I'm really I'm really stuck on color. Color is really, really important to me. So many of these squares have probably many coats of paint on them, because every time you want to change the color, you got to change the color of the whole square. So in the process, I was fooling around. You got leftover paint, so I would pour it out, and so that's an example of that. And of course, once you see that, you realize it can be cut up and put wherever you want. It's still an avenue to explore. I haven't really done that to the fullest. Nevertheless, I'm definitely using it. And here's an example of a skin that I just poured a few weeks ago, actually. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it, but it will appear somewhere, or parts of it will appear somewhere in a future painting. Now, this is probably the only painting I've done that is totally made up of skin. The white, the sails and the boat, on a very large surface, I poured various shades of white. And of course, I do a lot of doodling to find out what shape of sails are pleasing. And then I cut them out to fill those shapes. And I don't know if you can tell, but the background is made up of tiny little squares. Each one is kind of stuck in with the acrylic medium. And I called that one Voyage. Let's see. This is called Scheherazade, and it's in the gallery at WAAC, WAAC, to be seen in the RUG gallery at the moment. And in this one, things started to come together, like different techniques. And also, it might be the first painting in which I discovered, I started to carve into the paint. So the black part here and the red, the hair and all that, that's more or less poured paint. In the necklace area, I had created little, like on the side, various shapes of different depth to create jewelry, basically. And then as it happened, I had something left over that didn't work from another painting, this section here and this section here. And I kind of glued those in with the acrylic, because acrylic is basically a glue, also a glue. And if you see the painting in person, you can see that these areas have been carved into, like the little blue part in the middle, it has been segmented with an X-Acto knife. So, and a lot of X-Acto blade work goes into that. And since I did Scheherazade, I figured I should also do her husband. I see the color here is a little brighter than Scheherazade. In real life, they're a little more matched in their hues. Nevertheless, you can tell here, it's the same techniques that I used with the sides here, poured paint taken from somewhere else, and the carving here, and the jewelry. In this case, the jewelry is all carved in. I haven't glued anything in. So Scheherazade and Sultan, for me personally, were very, very satisfying, and definitely a direction to go in. This too is an example. The trunks in this painting were pourings from on the side, and I just happened to like them and wondered what to do. And so they ended up as trunks of trees. And well, I try to stay away from meaning, but I find that very hard. I also write poetry, by the way, so meaning is everywhere. So of course they became trees, and but the rest of the painting is carving and segmentation and poured pigment. And these strips I probably cut from somewhere. I don't remember everything. And then I was totally intrigued with the carving aspect, and I went crazy here. This is called Gold Rush. It's in my mind, it's actually a painting about greed, the idea that, you want to stash away your gold. But the truth is, the other title of it is that all that is solid melts into air, which was the title of a very interesting book. So in here, of course, eventually, you can't hold on to things that you have forever, and they do melt away. But I was intrigued by how you can carve and slash into the canvas. And this is a path I think I will probably be on more in the future. Now, this painting has a similar theme. Let me see. It is called "All That Is Solid." I didn't leave. It's the same idea that everything that you have and you rely on, in some future will get redistributed, reconfigured, etc. This painting has a very special meaning to me. It always did, and now when we see the horrible things that are happening in Ukraine, it has even more meaning to me personally. I always, for years, I think I had this image in my mind. I wanted to paint something like this. And the reason is my own family, we were refugees after World War II. And I was actually born during the war. And my early childhood was more or less running away from the war and being in refugee camps. We ended up in refugee camps in Germany and later Sweden. And in these camps as a toddler, when I'm only now thinking of what my mother's anxiety level must have been. I've often thought about, but she went at breakfast. I mean, anyone who's had a child, sometimes it's hard to get them to open up your mouth. So she would tell me a story, and the story was always the same, just to get me to open my mouth. She said, and then came a big wind and took all the children to Crostoland. And of course, my eyes would pop and say, and then, and the children stood behind the iron gates of this big city and looked to see what was behind. And that's where the story always ended. I never knew what was behind those gates, but I'm realizing now that my mother was really telling the story of her own life. I mean, our life as a family at that point. So, of course, Ukraine is on so many people's minds right now, but that's what this painting is about, basically. So this is the painting, The Path Not Taken, which, according to Cal, apparently was just sold, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. And in this painting, I think you can tell I'm more comfortable with how things segment, and I'm comfortable with carvings, and I'm putting a lot of thought into the actual lines. I mean, whenever I begin with a painting, I begin with 4 or 5 vertical lines, try to make them graceful, and then often I'm trying to get the arrow up. I like to put in what I call a smiley line, and And then things kind of start to take shape. And again, even though I try to stay away from meaning, it's starting to take a landscapey look, and that's another direction I can go to, and I rather enjoy. If you saw this in person, you would see that the lines are actually fairly deeply carved through 4 or 5 layers of paint. And then, of course, as I said, I'm very stickly with color. So in any segment, if the color's not right, I will add a different. And so with every layer of paint, you get sort of added thickness. The paintings do become a little heavy, which might be annoying to people who have to hang them. But anyway, that's the price. It's the price I pay.
Show them the path.
Yeah, Paula said, oh, wait, here's my arrow. To show you the path, in case you don't see it, here is the yellow brick road. The path. If you can find it, it's a good one to take. And this is actually one of my last paintings. And I really just went to town with slashing. And each slash is kind of a natural curve of the slash. And eventually you slash until you're pleased. And then, well, always you begin with 4 or 5 layers of paint, much of which comes from paint that you don't know what to do with. And then there's the search for color combinations and, you know, and balance. All that has to be worked out somehow. I don't know if I mentioned, but I called it wicked conversation. And I think sometimes this is how conversations do end up. A little round ball somewhere being bounced around and everybody being excited. So that's the end of my presentation, unless somebody, well, I don't know how I get back to people and sound.
So everybody is free now to unmute themselves. You can, if you know how to hold up your hand with that little yellow thing, I'll try to catch you. If not, you can just jump right in. And if Merike would like to address any particular painting, I guess she can get back to that as well.
I would like,
Oh,
I would love.
there's Mary. Okay.
Am I, oh, I'm okay.
Yeah.
My congratulations. You are just a miracle worker. I love the journey that you and your inspiration from your granddaughter. I think that was marvelous that you worked with her, and then how you grew is just remarkable. It's just a privilege to see it. And to
Thank you very much. Thank
really,
you.
really wonderful.
Thank you.
Now I think Marjorie might have been next.
Yes. Congratulations, Merike. I actually saw your show yesterday, and it's amazing. It's powerful, and the scale is also part of the strength in your pieces. I do have one little query about the slashing lines.
Yes.
When I first saw your piece in, I think, Echoes, I thought immediately of stained glass windows, but it was opaque, not translucent. And I thought I saw those lines as raised above the color, and I compared them to the lead in stained glass windows. So do they, well, have you ever thought about your work in terms of the similarity to stained glass work? And are those slashes, are they raised or flat? I can't remember.
Well, oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, the slashes, of course, go deep and through 4 or 5 layers of the undercoat, and each layer is in a different color. So actually, you know, if that color changes according to where it is on. Yes, I have thought of stained glass. I I um, I I like stained glass, and actually part of my attraction to the acrylics is because it is glassy, and in a way, the more of the actual medium you use, the more glassy it becomes. My my paintings still look fairly opaque, but if you actually compared it to, you know, just pure pigment, you could see there's quite a difference. Um, um, yeah, I can't escape uh, the stained glass comparison because so many people ask me if it is stained glass, so I can't get away from that. I don't know if that answers your.
Well, are you saying if I held one of your paintings up against a window, for example, or if there's a light behind, would it be translucent?
It would be if it were not on wood panel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it could be translucent, and I have thought. You're actually, that's a good point. I have thought about that. I've thought of possibly painting on lucite, for example.
Right.
I don't know what would happen because, you know, it might actually just look messy. I really don't know. I think it might require a more pure approach. The way I work, I can hide many mistakes. If you have
We've all learned those tricks.
right.
Yeah. Anyway,
Thank you. Ivana, I think you were next. Did you want?
Thank you very much. If I can talk, thank you very much, Merike, for a wonderful presentation. I really love your work for many reasons. One reason is that you are trying to go away from meaning, and there is so much meaning. Like I'm looking at your paintings, and they are, although they are very abstract, they have such a powerful meaning. And plus your technique, which is very, very time consuming. I imagine
yes,
that you have so much time to just think what you are doing in a sense of meditation. So for me, it's extremely meditative. Like you have to put one layer, dry it, another layer, dry it, and then again, and then you curve it. So you have like such a way of creation, which is very time consuming. And in the meantime, from this abstract painting of your wonderful granddaughter, which is just amazing, you're coming into from this reality into an abstract form, which is absolutely wonderful and it can be jewelry, as you said, in your beautiful pair, which is Scheherazade and her husband. And you have this jewelry-like finish by their necks. And then you have another piece, which is jewelry like the piece which was in Echo as well. It also is combined in from very little pieces, which combined together look like a huge necklace to me.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it could look like that. That's true. Yeah.
So it's a very powerful technique, which is a bit surprising, because you are saying these are skins, and at the same time, if you say it, all these skins can be like your wardrobe, because to me also it's a very like fashionable, you know, like you have so many beautiful, very beautiful pieces which are haute couture, if you can say it, and it looks really amazing. So thank you very much.
Well,
I
thank
really
you.
enjoyed
What
looking at
wonderful
this.
comments. I have to say, when you're talking about couture, my mother, you know, in order to come to Canada, she had to say she had a profession. It wasn't enough to be a mother of 4 children. So she said she became a seamstress. So I grew up with beautiful pieces of fabric everywhere on every surface. And when I paint, I often think about her. And I think,
Oh,
you know, where will this fit? How does this go? So
yeah.
that was very interesting. And the other thing is, when you say meditative, you're absolutely right. It is a slow, painstaking process. And because of the drying period in between, I got to work on at least 3 paintings at a time, maybe 4, you know,
Yeah.
and go from one to another. I can't sit there and wait till the paint dries. But nevertheless, as it happens, you know, you can't keep meaning from coming into your head. And also because I write poetry, you know, the words keep coming, and sometimes I write them down. And I think of all kinds of whimsical titles, and any painting could have at least a dozen titles, you know, like the Wicked Conversation, but I just liked the way that sounded. So it could have been titled many other things.
Yeah, well, titles are probably a great part of the whole process, and then at the end you have to decide
You have to decide.
which part is the best of it.
Exactly. Anyway, thank you.
I think we now have Kate and then Sonia after.
Merike.
Kate, did you have something to say?
Oh, Sonia. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, Kate, I think you were next and then Sonia.
Oh, I didn't know. Yes, I have lots
Oh,
to
you
say,
took
but I didn't.
yourself
I
off
didn't.
mute, so I
Oh,
figured.
I see. Well, no, yes, okay. This was amazing. I had no idea what to expect because I'm friends with your amazing daughter, and here I am looking and learning more about you. I had no idea what kind of creations I was about to witness. And one of the things I do actually want to know is there was one painting maybe halfway through that almost looked as though it was a painting, like an actual 2-dimensional painting of this kind of these skins that you said. I don't know, maybe the resolution of the photo wasn't as good, but it looked almost as though it was, you had now painted these something that looked like these carved versions. Does that make sense, Paula? Do you know which one it might have been?
No, I'm not
So
sure.
they were also, maybe it was a resolution thing, because I thought, wow, how cool. Now you're painting what these almost, because they all looked like I wanted to touch them all.
Yeah.
And there was one that looked, right? You just want to touch it. Because
Interesting.
the texture,
Yeah.
like candies, like almost. And
Interesting.
then there was one that looked almost flat, and I thought, oh, that's how I could see. I wonder if that's what you're another thing that.
Is it?
doing.
Are you talking about that square port painting? You can see my hands behind it, holding it. No.
No, it looked like it was just very, I'd have to go back and look. I can message Paula, and it was just, it was so intricate that I thought, surely that one, the pieces looked so tiny in it for you to have been carving through them.
Oh, you don't mean the sailboat, the
Oh, no. I could tell that. And the other question I have is, how large are these? What's the size of these pieces? It's hard to get that.
The trunk is here, Kate, behind us.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's that.
They're huge, massive.
There's one that wasn't in the show here today. This one, which I love.
Wow. Oh my. Well, that's gorgeous too.
Yeah.
So
This is all that is solid over here.
well, some.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that one. Yeah. No, see, I could tell that that had the texture to it. There was just one that was my one question.
Mhm. Well, I'm thinking my smallest painting is probably, I don't know, 30 by 30, 24 by, yeah. I mean, there are some smaller, but yeah, average is maybe 30 by 40 average.
If I may interrupt, there was one that I loved. It was almost like a reapel, and it looked, you may have been holding it and you described it as a skin, and it
Yeah.
looked like it could have been like in a sink or something, and you were lifting it up. And so I wanted to know what that was because I don't know what a skin is.
Well, acrylic paint, if like if you spill, well, I don't know, was it Reapel? Somebody discovered, started doing their painting because they had spilled some paint on the floor. Was it Reapel?
I don't know.
If not him, I can't, name escapes me at the moment, but it was basically he spilled water, paint on the floor, and he liked the effect, and and that became his technique. So, but that was what you saw was different colors of acrylic paint kind of poured onto a surface, and that's how they intermix.
Like a rice paper or something like that. It's very light.
Well, if you mix acrylic medium with acrylic paint, and you pour it onto, let's say, a piece of plastic,
Okay.
you can, it's soft, and
Okay.
you can peel it off. So no, you can't do it on rice paper because it would, well, it would eat it would eat into the rice paper.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
On the other hand, you know, it's an interesting thing to try. I haven't done it.
Hi, Merike.
Sonia.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
You look great. You look just like your paintings.
Oh, thank you.
And I wondered, why is it important for you to get away from meaning?
Because I write poetry. I feel like I deal with meaning all the time. But that's an interesting question. Partly because that's where I got stuck. That first painting I showed you, the one, yeah, the baby Minotaur. I was stuck because I was thinking, does it mean this? Does it mean that? Should it be this? Should it be that? And I just wanted to be free of all those considerations because that's not play. You know, I wanted to play. I wanted to be in a sandbox. Although with each painting, it's not so much a sandbox as leaping off a cliff, because I never know what's going to happen. But obviously I'm getting more and more control over what I'm doing. I showed those early ones. There are a lot of them. I only showed you a few. There are a lot of early paintings where, honestly, I thought, well, this isn't working. This isn't working. And then it started to click in. Anyway.
I love that baby miniature. I have never seen it. I have only heard about it. So I was so glad to, I've heard so much about it. So I was so glad to see it. I thought it was beautiful. And I'm glad you were stuck on it for a while.
You say that last thing again?
Like, I'm glad you were stuck on it because it was great. I love it.
Oh, thank you very much. And I'm still fond of him or her.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know what to do with it, you know. Anyway, but thank you.
Show everyone the baby Minotaur.
Oh, okay.
Here he is.
Yeah. It's really great.
So sweet.
Well, I was intrigued by the whole Minotaur story. And I know that the king and queen built a special labyrinth for the Minotaur, because after all, it was their offspring. And so at one point, I realized that that Minotaur at some point had to be a baby. And I thought, you know, how awful to be banished like that. And anyway, that's that's where the idea of the baby Minotaur came from.
I
And
also really liked your mother's story
thank you.
at breakfast. That's really touching. And
I-
it's something that, you know, like I can see that how you could, when you're stuck, how
Yeah.
you relate to that really.
Right,
really
right.
well.
Yeah,
It's very heartwarming story.
yeah, thank
And
you.
ending where it did.
I imagine there's a lot of stories out there right now
Yeah.
like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think you're very brave and the show is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sonia. And thank you for coming, all of you. That's very nice.
Pleasure.
Are there any other questions?
Yes.
Oh, Joanne.
Hi, Merike. I have to tell you, everyone, I have seen the show up close and personal, and it is outstanding. Somebody mentioned touch. That's all I wanted to do was go up and touch them. Isn't that right, Merike?
Yes, and I told you not to worry. I could wipe off the fingerprints.
I know, but it just, you know, I'd go straight to hell if I touched artwork. So I was really resistant to do that. But I encourage everyone to go and see the show because it is so beautiful. And it's in the Ruth Upjohn Gallery at Women's Art. And I'm seriously thinking, not seriously, but I'm thinking about trying to give your granddaughter a free membership to WAAC, just thanks to as inspiration for you to go in the direction that you took. And I think that is just marvelous that you followed your heart in that. And it's beautiful, beautiful. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, you should see my granddaughter's work now. Although she's she's now studying more math and science and math, but she's still keeping a hand in artwork, and it's always interesting, enlightening for me.
And how old is she now?
13.
She's 13. Wow.
But you know,
There she is.
everybody has a granddaughter or grandchild who is brilliant.
But the other things I wanted to say, all my words were already stolen by Ivana. So, and Kate, between Ivana and Kate, I had nothing left to say other than congratulations, because it's just a fabulous show. So please try and make an effort to get in and see it.
Hi, John. Walker.
Now, there are some.
Your hand is up.
There's some comments here. I can read some until.
Oh, wait a minute. Walker has his hand up.
Please go. Please
okay.
go. There we go.
Okay.
Yes, I wouldn't mind asking a quick question if I could. So, hi, Merike. So I've had the privilege of seeing a good bit of Merike's work in person. And one thing I'm wondering about it is when I see especially your current work in person, Merike, it has such solidity to it, and the colors are so bold and the lines are very definite. So it has a real presence in that sense. But many of your paintings, they also have a kind of internal dynamism and a sense of motion. And I'm thinking about all that is solid. But a lot of the paintings, they have a great sense of motion to them. It looks like things are moving within the painting without that's actually being true. And I guess what I'm wondering is do you think about that consciously, about imparting a sense of motion, or does it just emerge in the process?
That's very interesting. It's both. I mean, yes, I do. As I say, I call it slashing. And very often, like the first slash comes, the first one is always the hardest, because you know, well, where's it going to be? It's like in your first art lesson, make your mark. Where's that mark going to be? And that determines everything else. So yeah, I'm aware, and I think possibly that first slash, and if then you continue with that, you are aware of motion, or at least I am aware of motion. And then when like some busy areas evolve just through the process, I'm pleased by it. That's all I can say. You know, you don't really know what's going to happen until it's done. You know, I don't begin with a mental image. So yeah, I sometimes think maybe my work is a little too busy, but that's what it is right now. Anyway, thanks for the question.
I have a comment from Theus. Wonderful show. Congratulations. From Lisa Hayes. Beautiful work. I'm looking forward to seeing the show in person. From Tara, I am so moved by your work and also by your meaning, even though you've tried to avoid meaning. Excited to bring my 2 kids to your show next week. Congratulations on this deeply inspiring work. Thank you for all of it. I love Ivana's comments about your resisting meaning. That's a big one. It's such a generous approach. This is from Denise. It draws me in all the more. And all the references to Violet's leadership and your exploration of play, plus how gorgeous these pieces are. Bravo, and so happy to hear you talk about the process. And then she also says she's got a resisting meaning and play. I was just reading this last night, and she has a link here, a Bender on writing without a plan. I guess. All right, there we go.
Writing without a plan. Yeah, it's scary.
So painting without a plan, writing without a plan.
Right. It can be scary. Sometimes it is jumping off a cliff. Well, not only that, but in fact, I do have a lot of paintings that didn't work out and are waiting for future resolutions.
All right, are there any more comments or questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question, technical question.
Okay.
If you can please tell us what kind of surface you are having when you are pouring your acrylics on. Because I quite don't understand, is it a plastic, a metal sheet? What is it?
I pour it onto, it's a heavy plastic. I'm trying to think. Okay, what it is, if you go to the hardware store, it's a vapor barrier quality. So it's fairly stiff. And as a matter of fact, if you then, someone asked me about stained glass. Yes. If you hold up one of those skins against the vapor barrier plastic, yes, it's totally translucent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any more comments or questions?
I've just learned a lot because I've been working in oils for years and years, and I've got some acrylics downstairs, so I think I'm going to play. Inspired by you. Thank you.
And I think that's what you said at the beginning, didn't you? That you were an oil painter before you went into the acrylics, Merike.
I painted in oils for years. Yes. Not only that, but very figurative work. You know, nothing as bright as these colors. You know, they say as you get older, you go into second childhood, and yeah, I like shiny objects. I like the bright colors. when I did oils, you know, I was certainly much more muted, but I get a lot of pleasure out of the strength that acrylic makes possible, mixed with the medium.
Well, if there's no further questions or comments, then thank you very much for joining us today. It was a terrific presentation, and I encourage all of you and bring your friends to see this show. Concurrent to this show, we also have in our Dignam Gallery a Charles Pachter exhibition. So you'll be able to take in 2 great artists at the same time until this weekend. And actually, Merike's going to be showing until the 16th. So you have another week after that.
And she'll be there in person on Saturday.
Yes, you will be.
Yes. Yes.
Forward to seeing you.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bravo.
You.